Hi guys, my name is Modi and you are welcome to Modi Speaks. So a few days ago, I covered the heart-wrenching story of this young high school kid who was brutally deleted by another high school kid at a high school track meet. Now, in case you did not see that video or you don't know about this story, I'll just give you a little summary of the situation. Now, this 17-year-old high school kid by the name of Carmelo Anthony stabbed another 17-year-old high school kid, Austin Metcalf, in the chest at a high school track meet, killing him instantly. Now, it happened that the killer, Carmelo Anthony, was sitting under the tent provided for another high school, particularly Austin Metcalf's high school. So Austin, seeing that Anthony was in the wrong tent, approached him and told him that he doesn't belong there and that he needs to move. But Anthony reached inside his school bag and told Austin to touch him again and see what happens. So Austin Metcalf touched him, telling him to move out of the tent, and that was when Carmelo Anthony took out a black knife from inside his backpack and proceeded to stab Metcalf in the chest, deleting him instantly. After that, Anthony ran away from the scene and threw the murder weapon away. But when the police officers apprehended him, he confirmed that he committed the crime, but asked the officer if his actions can be justified as self-defense. I mean, he wasn't even sure himself. Now tell me, who defends themselves from danger without knowing that they defended themselves from danger? I mean, make it make sense. But anyway, that is the backstory. But the main reason I'm making this video is to address this video I saw that was made by another creator called The Amazing Lucas. Now, this YouTuber had made several videos regarding this Austin Metcalf / Carmelo Anthony situation, and each of every one of those videos he made portrays the kid who lost his life as the culprit and then the killer as the victim. Not only was this guy distorting the facts and spreading false narratives, he also seems to be extremely happy with the death of this teenage boy because he's a white boy. In the videos, Lucas kept grinning from ear to ear, laughing at the dead boy and making statements like F around and find out, that he F'd around and then he found out. His video gave me a little glimpse of how blinded by race some people can be, to the extent that they are willing to deliberately remain blind and myopic to the truth simply because they just want to support a person from their race, no matter the cost, no matter the consequences, no matter the situation. Just take a listen.
So you have to understand, they want to frame this world in favor of them. It will always be in favor of them, but at the same time, simultaneously, they're always the victim. It's a weird conundrum. I'm not going to lie. It's a weird conundrum. Okay. Damn. That's what seems to be this story, is that this kid came out in self-defense, and you had one incident where it says, hey, touch me again or come at me again and see what happens. Now, what happens? The kid, the high IQ, this is what they want to say, according to the racists, the high IQ, pattern recognizer, per capita elitist, what does he do? He goes and touches the kid again. And sure enough, this is the ultimate, from what it seems, the F-A-F-O. F around and found out. And he found out. And now he's no longer with us. And for some reason, I'm supposed to feel bad about this. And just so we're clear, if the races were reversed, I'd say the same thing.
What a liar. What a lying, shameless man. If the races were reversed, you wouldn't be saying the same thing. This man reached so far. He was able to find a nonsensical way to claim that the killer who took someone's life because he felt disrespected, not because he felt threatened or in danger, he found a way to claim that this obvious criminal is innocent and that the dead victim, who posed no threat whatsoever to the killer, is actually the criminal, the one at fault. I mean, this guy found a way to skew all the facts and distort the truth, which I'm going to be showing you later. He did all this to protect an obvious criminal just because he is black. But somehow, he wants you and I to believe that he'll be saying the same thing if the races of the individuals involved were reversed. What a liar. I am knowledgeable enough to know that if the races were reversed, this man would be leading a nationwide protest in favor of the slain kid. Take me anywhere, okay? The internet will be on fire right now. He would be judging this case quite differently. Now he can laugh. Now he is happy that a white boy was killed by a black boy. He is satisfied with the situation. He even admits that there was no need for him to feel bad for the deceased kid. Imagine how inhumane you have to be to hold that particular view. A kid just died. I mean, you don't want to be sad. There is no need for you to be sad. Lucas is saying that if you feel disrespected by a person, okay, if you're a black person and you think a white person disrespected you, you should kill them and pin your actions on self-defense. even if there was no imminent danger or threat towards you as a person. Okay.
And just so we're clear, if the races were reversed, I'd say the same thing. But at the same time, I don't know a lot of black kids that if someone else were to reach into their bag and say, hey, you come at me again and you know, see what happens. I don't know a lot of black kids who would go, okay. Like, that's not just being in this country. That's not how we're trained. And this is a partly due to post-traumatic slave syndrome, a book that I recommend you all read. But yeah, that's not going to happen. But there has to be a certain level of privilege, like I said, post-traumatic slave master syndrome, that would somehow trigger in your brain to see, well, what is he going to do? You know, what are you going to do to me, huh? I'm the master. And that's where that privilege comes from. And sure enough, you know, he found out that, oh, this privilege doesn't really, you know, protect you from, you know, knives.
What a disgusting human being. What a horrible individual. Is there anything funny about this situation? Why does he keep laughing? I mean, I'm trying to find out what is funny. Imagine training a kid up to 17 years. This kid has their life ahead of them. They are on the verge of becoming proper adults, and then someone senselessly takes their life over nothing. Is that a scenario that is supposed to be funny? And the audacity to blame this incident on so-called post-traumatic slave syndrome, conveniently leaving out the common sense that neither of these individuals were slaves nor slave master. So I wonder where the post-trauma is coming from. This man has to reach so far, okay? So far into the abyss to pull out ridiculous claims in order to make a killer into a victim. He disgusts me. He does.
I mean, it's like I said, the actual story being that it's leaning towards actual self-defense, and the white boys that you all were screaming and crying about were actually in the wrong. Which is, you know, man, how many stories do we have we come across that? And, you know, as I said, they'll either play it down and be like, well, that's not the point. He shouldn't have had a knife. That's a new, you know, that's a new goalpost that they're moving to after they find out that the original narrative that they wanted to portray was false. Like the facts and evidence didn't justify that. So now they're trying to, once again, vilify the black boy and trying to say, oh, he shouldn't have had a knife. Why does he have a knife, huh? Why was he there? Why was he under the tent? You know, it was raining. Why do you think someone would want to be out the rain? I mean.
Oh God, this guy, what a twerp. Now he claims that the details of the story that everyone knows, even the police reports corroborated, is false, okay? Whereas he is the one manufacturing fake narratives just to push his agenda. In his subsequent videos about this situation, his narrative is that Austin Metcalf and his brother, twin brother, Hunter Metcalf, both attacked Carmelo Anthony, according to Lucas. That is what Lucas is saying. And also, I heard the same thing coming from a man who claims to be Carmelo's cousin. Okay, they said the twins smashed the guy's phone and they tried to jump him. But in reality, and according to over 30 students who gave their eyewitness report on the situation to the police, the twin brother Hunter wasn't even aware or involved in the altercation. He only got involved when he saw his brother has been stabbed, and you know, his involvement was trying to stop the bleeding on his brother's chest before his twin brother died in his arms. Also, when you look at the police report, nowhere was Carmelo's supposed damaged cell phone mentioned, okay? There was no such thing as a smashed cell phone. Even Carmelo himself did not mention that. The only thing he said was, he put his hands on me. And he said, he put his hands on me, not they put their hands on me. Austin was the only one involved in the altercation with Carmelo, and there was no one else. The twin brother was not involved. But Lucas is trying to tell us that all those things that we saw from the police is fake. All those evidence that was kind of reported by eyewitness about over 30 students were fake. And there was no smashing of cell phone involved, unlike what Lucas wants you to believe. You can go ahead and read the police report, okay? It is just a 7-page report. It is not much. And at least you'll be reassured that the truth is still the truth.
The facts and evidence didn't justify that. So now they're trying to, once again, vilify the black boy and trying to say, oh, he shouldn't have had a knife. Why does he have a knife, huh? Why was he there? Why was he under the tent? You know, it was raining. Why do you think someone would want to be out the rain? I mean.
Yeah, I like that question. Why would Carmelo, a high school student, bring a knife to a high school track meet? Why? Lucas, please tell us. No, he doesn't tell us why, okay? Because of course, there is no good reason why a high school kid would bring a knife to a track meet unless he is there to make trouble. But Lucas tried to make up reason why Carmelo was sitting under another school's tent. And according to Lucas, it was because it was raining. False. Okay, that is another big lie from hell coming from Lucas. Now, according to the police reports, which I'm going to be showing you in the screen here, when the officers arrived at the crime scene, they began investigating the crime scene. They apprehended Carmelo, who has already run away. They searched him for any weapons and realized that he has disposed of the knife. They finally found the knife in the bleachers. Now, after a while, it began raining. So one of the officers had to start taking pictures of the evidence around the crime scene with his cell phone, okay? And another officer covered the knife with something in order to preserve the evidence or any evidence. So Carmelo wasn't sitting under the tent because it was raining. Because during the time of the stabbing, during the time of the incident, it was not raining. It only started raining after some time when the police were carrying out their investigation. By that time, the deed has already been done. Now, I am so ashamed at this guy, Lucas, or whatever he calls himself, at the effort he put into trying to frame this deceased kid, make him the criminal, and paint the actual criminal into a victim. He says his name is Amazing Lucas, but the only thing amazing about him is his blatant racism and his stupidity and his lack of credibility in news reporting. That is the only thing that is amazing about him. This guy is so blinded by race loyalty that he is willing to throw away his humanity and his ability to verify facts from an unbiased perspective. Seeing people like this guy on the internet makes me lose faith in humanity. Honestly, it does, okay? People like him forget that at the end of the day, we are all humans and we belong to the same race, the human race. Speaking the truth and saying things like they are without bending the truth to favor our race is one trait that every human being, especially news creators, should all possess. You can be black and still have the decency to call out injustice being perpetrated by a black person. You can still be white, Hispanic, Asian, or whatever, and still have the decency to do the same thing whenever it has to do with your race. I would never laugh or find it funny that a kid was killed in cold blood by another kid over a simple altercation. I mean, having heated arguments or altercations are a big part of adolescence. I mean, who didn't go through that? All of us did, and some of us are still going through that right now. Advocating that a person is justified in taking a life of another when they find themselves in simple altercations is so nonsensical to me. It doesn't make sense. If that action is justified as self-defense, then believe me, many of us wouldn't even have lived past our 10th birthday. As far as I'm concerned, Carmelo Anthony killed Austin Metcalf because he felt disrespected, his ego was bruised, and not because he felt threatened or in danger. And that is not self-defense. That is murder. So shame on you, Lucas, and shame on everyone who agreed with your narrative. Anyway, guys, these are my thoughts, these are my opinions, but feel free to share yours in the comment section below, but do so respectfully. Also, if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, honestly, I don't know what you're waiting for. Subscribe to the channel. Like and share this video to keep people informed, and consider joining my membership or buy me a copy if you like, as a way of supporting the channel. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to catch you on the next one. For now, peace.